And the elderberry is going to take 10 minutes to process.
Hello, everybody. Welcome. Thank you so much for coming. I appreciate this. And as you can see before me, we are getting ready to talk about canning. Before we decide to can, we need to know what we are doing. You absolutely cannot do anything unless you know a little bit about the equipment that you need, all the things you need, and how things operate. So today we're going to have a little discussion with Belle. My name is Belle, and I am Boomer in the Burbs. And we're in my kitchen, and we are filming a little bit today. It's raining outside. How's the weather where you are? I heard some of you in the West are getting some serious snow, but we here have plenty of rain. I'm out of the garden today, and I am getting ready to talk about canning. Many of you who are watching me probably have canned, but there may be some of you whom I'm just seeing for the very first time may be intrigued with what canning is all about. So let's get started. First of all, canning has been around since the late 1700s. And when Napoleon Bonaparte, during the Napoleonic Wars, wanted to figure out a way to preserve food, I guess that's so his men could take it out and not have to hunt for food, he sent for some people to try to figure it out, and he offered a reward. He offered a big reward. At the time, it may have been, I don't know, maybe the history says 17,000 francs, whatever that equated to. It must have been an incredible sum because people started trying to figure out how to preserve food. Before, they were drying it out, fermenting it, and trying to keep it salted down, I'm assuming. But after a while, that wasn't enough. And a man named Abbott came up with it and got the reward for it. I think it was a few years later. You can look it up. But anyway, it's interesting history about how canning got started. And then in the United States, I think we began sometime around 1825. And two men, Kensett and Dugan, and I'm reading this, patented tin plate. And that's when they learned how to can, and they decided to can oyster, fruit, meat, and vegetables. And then they started looking about ways to sell it to the public. And so that's when the big canning industry got started. And everything wasn't perfect because some people were still getting sick from the cans. So they started making up rules and regulations that we now know as the rules for canning. And if you are going to be a canner, you need to research and learn how to properly preserve your foods. Here's one book. It's Belle, and they've been the experts for some time. Blue Book Guide to Preserving. There are plenty of books out here. One which I've offered to you before called Not Your Mama's Canning Book. And she has loads of recipes on how to water bath can and how to pressure can, which are two very different ways of canning and very important that you know. And then finally, there are over 1 million copies in print of this book. This is Belle, the Complete Book of Home Preserving. And once you look at Belle, the Complete Book of Home Preserving, flip through, find a recipe that you want. We'll have to decide how you want to get started. Now, there are two pieces of equipment that you need. This piece of equipment is for water bath canning, meaning it's not under pressure, it's under heat. And that jar, whether it's any size jar that you can use, whether it's a quart or a pint or a half pint, these jars are used in the canning process, and you use these metal lids. Okay, many people like other metal lids. I go with the Belle. A lot of people say that this is not as effective as some of the others out there, but you do your research and then you make your decision. So we're going to today talk about the equipment you need. Then we're going to distinguish what you need and how you need it. Now, the water bath canning is not that expensive. When you start getting into this kind of canning, this is an all-American pressure canner. And this is like, I would say this is the Cadillac of canners, but they all do the same thing. You can go to Walmart and get a canner for $99, and hopefully I'll have a picture and put it up in this video as I'm talking. But this canner will can your jellies, your jams, your fruits, high acid foods, your applesauce, things like that. That's what you use for that. When you talk about pressure canning, you're canning the low acid foods. This is butter, potatoes, all your vegetables, all your meats. They must be pressure canned. And pressure canning requires a lot more time. And in doing that, I have tried to can inside the house, but I find it more comfortable for me to pressure can outside of the house, not because I think it's going to explode or anything, but that's an awful lot of water going into the atmosphere. And I only do that on really, really cold days or when I don't feel like going outside. But my stove that I have, my camp stove, is right outside the door, and I'll go back and forth and do that. So with this particular canner, we're going to focus on this one today, even though both of these will need just about the same equipment. So let's look at some of the equipment that you're going to need. If you have never, ever, ever canned before, I'm going to do one on jelly tomorrow. And I got this recipe from the great canner of all times on the website, Sutton Daze. That's Daze. And her name is Lisa. And she is a perfectionist in canning. She follows the rules. She knows the rules. She's been canning for a long, long time. And so I'm going to make with you, and let's see if I have a can of it here. We call these cans, but they're jars. We're going to make her famous recipe called Festival Jam. And we're going to use, we're going to use the 8-ounce jars, and we're going to can this up on video. And if you want to together, but this is how this looks. And it's 3 types of bell pepper and then jalapeno, which I like jalapeno, but you don't have to use it if you don't want to. You can take the seeds out and chop it up. It's not a lot, but you will really enjoy it. Now, let's talk about the equipment that you need. If you go on Amazon, I saw on Amazon just a little while ago that you can buy something called a essential canning kit, and that will include things like this, which you will need. It will include your funnels. Now, this is plastic and this is metal. More than likely, you'll have like a green plastic funnel in there. I don't really care for them. I would rather do the metal rather than the plastic, because number one, it will last longer. Number two, it's just more, to me, it's more sanitary than plastic, because I can boil this, and this not so much. It just gets washed clean. So you will need this, and you will find this in your kit. You will also need this. This is your grabber with a little metal piece on the bottom that will get your lids. Okay, when you do your lids, you will get your lids out of the water, because you should sanitize your lids a little bit. And you should sanitize them in some water on the stove while you're waiting for everything else to go. And you just pick them up out of the water with this. Okay, and you can pick them up and put them on the jars when you are canning, and it's much more sanitary. So this is a necessity. Okay, one of the other necessities that you're going to need is a jar lifter. This will get your jars out of the water. So whether or not you're using the smaller jars, which you will pick up and grip like this, or the larger jars, which you will pick up and grip like this, they grip and they hold as you're carrying them from the preparation area to put into the can. So you will need this. Now this one I bought special. It's a nice one with a good grip to it. Most of the time when you order the little packet of supplies, you'll get this one or something like it. It's okay. It works fine, but it is not as effective at gripping the jars that you have. It does the job, but it's not as effective as this particular one, which has a spring action, a nice fat grip. So those are the two things. And then the third thing that you'll get in your little canning kit is a measuring piece also that helps you to debubble your contents. So if you put something in like this and it has chunks of fruit or whatever in it, you just use that stick to go down. I don't have a debubbler. I usually use chopsticks to debubble. I use the chopsticks, I put them down in the jar and I debubble like that. But I had one of those plastic pieces. I don't know what happened to it. You'll also get in the bigger kits what you call a jar opener. So you'll put this on here and twist it closed, twist the jar closed like this. But I've never ever used this. It was just a waste. But you put this on here and you unscrew the jars and you screw them. I just use my fingers. I can feel it better. I really honestly have never used this, but I'm not telling you not to use this. A scoop. And I like the one that has the little piece on the end so that when you're scooping your goods out of your jelly pot or whatever you're going to use, you can hook it onto the jelly pot like this and it will hang down without going into your contents. I just didn't have enough room to put the jelly pot. And then after that, you'll need rings and lids. The lids come in a package like this, and all the jars that you buy will already have these on there. But you should always have an extra packet of lids and the rings, okay? And the rings you take off once you process your food so that if your seal breaks on your jar, like these are sealed, there's no spring action, the food is not coming out when you shake it, so that you'll know it. But if it's on here like this, let's see if I have one with a, well, if it's on here like this, you can't tell if the seal has broken, and sometimes it will reseal itself if this is on here. So when you store them in your pantry or in your extra space, wherever you store them, you will need this ring off. And you can hang these rings everywhere that you want to. I hang them on a bungee cord and keep them near the stove when I get ready to use them. So this is your equipment that you will need. Minimally. This to grip your little lids with, magnetic. This to grip your jars as you're moving them from one place to the other. And then you'll need your debubbler. And most of the debubblers come with a little measuring piece on them because they'll say, fix it with a 1-inch head space. And I usually, now I've been canning so long, I just look and I can tell from here to the end of this ring is 1 inch. And from here to here is 1/4. But that little instrument will actually have a little measurer on it, and it doubles as a debubbler. And it will be in that package of canning essentials, your little kit that runs on Temu. It's like $10. On Amazon, it's like about $20. But it's worth it. You have to have it. And then finally, after you have the lids and rings, the sizes that you need, this is the size for the smaller ones. This is the smaller one and the ring that goes on that. You will need something to go down in your jars. Now this I purchased. This is like a heat resistant piece of silicone that fits down in the bottom of your pan, because once you set your jars down in here, they cannot go directly on this bottom. Not for this canner nor for this. They both need something on the bottom to keep the cans from hitting the bottom. That's an easy way to break and ruin all your hard work. You can also use these kind. This one came with my All-American. And you can put this in the bottom of either your water bath canner when you get ready to water bath, or you can put it in the bottom of your pressure can, which I have this one. Okay. So the All-American is like the granddaddy. It locks. We're going to talk about, if I tried to introduce you to both the water bath canner and the pressure canner at the same time, it would be too much for the video. And already I can see that we're already 15 minutes out, maybe a little bit more. So for the lesson that I'm going to do on my next video, we're going to pressure can using Sutton Day's recipe, if you haven't already. And it's called Festival Jam. And I actually will show you how to go about it. She does a great video on it. I'm piggybacking and using this on my platform, but this is how you get started. And so many people worry about pressure canning. And when I first started, I worried about it too. But I'm going to tell you, pressure canning is so safe. And if you follow all the instructions on how to lock down your can, your canning apparatus, your pressure canner, how to lock it down, how to oil around this so that the metal to metal won't stick. If you follow all the directions and open it properly, you will have no trouble at all. And what you're going to learn about canning is that it is addictive, and addictive in a good way, because before you know it, you'll start taking out your first jars. And when you hear that pop and that jar has sealed, it's just the most incredible thing in the world. You'll understand the contents inside your food. You will have made it. It will taste fresher. It will be more nutritious. And then you just rotate your cans in and out of your pantry, and you only prepare what you're going to eat. You do not prepare something that you're never going to eat. If you eat cranberry sauce, prepare it. If you eat jellies and jams, prepare the ones that you like. If you do apple sauces, prepare them. All it is finding ways to keep our food. And way back in 1790, when the first person decided, I think his name was Abbott, decided that he had invented this, we're still using a lot of the methods from 1925 right on up, and they've only gotten safer and better. And the great B word, which is botulism, has hardly come into play, because once you seal your food, all the oxygen goes out of this, and it only comes back in once you pop it open. And I love these jars also. These are wet jars, and I first learned about them when I was over in England, and I was opening up some jellies and jams. It's delicious. But these are all of the things that you'll learn. The more you read, the more you'll know. Get you some good books, such as my favorite one. I think Not Your Mama's Canning is the most fun one of all. But get you some good books that really talk about home preserving. I know you can look it up online. Yes, you can. But if you start reading, you'll have this book with you at all times. The Amish have really put out an excellent canning book, which I don't have with me now. But find some books And let's start off with the simplest one, water bath canning. Then we'll move to pressure canning, and we'll actually pressure can a few things, and then we'll definitely pressure can the jam, and we will make the festival jam together, or you can watch me do it. And these are all of the things we're going to learn. If you already know it, then be encouraged. You have people that are happy to know it with you. But enjoy your time in the kitchen. And there is nothing better than taking your meat that you have boiled and put into the canner, or taking your jams and jellies and your vegetables and butters and whatever else you're going to can. It's nothing like it. Well, I hope this video was not too long. I hope I've covered everything. I hope that I've talked to you about how we've progressed from boiling, fermenting, salting, and drying out food to where we are now, which most of the time these cans are lasting about 18 months, and that's a long time for home canning. Some people have been known to keep their food for longer, much longer, years in fact, sometimes 4 or 5 years. So it all depends on how you trust your process. If you're following the rules that are written already for you that are easy to do, and you too can become a home canner, even if you're by yourself, even if there's no one but you and you have family, you can still process it and put nice little bows on things and present it to them. Or you can have it, you can do your soups, you can do whatever you want to do that you've learned to do if you do it properly. Follow the rules. Let's get canning. Let's get it done. I appreciate you being here with me, and I hope that I've given you the vision of canning today. And after the rain, we'll be out in the garden, but right now we're going to learn to can. Thank you for being here, and I appreciate you. And remember, no matter what, I want you to know that I love you, and that's why I'm here. And I hope you've been inspired to think about canning and think about the foods that you put in your body. Bye-bye. Thank you.